Bat. Access is one of the biggest issues that we run into as land managers. With poor access, we absolutely destroy our properties. We bust any illusion that the deer may have that they're safe. Now, look at a typical 40. And the small landowners are the ones that really need to place a high premium on access. But look at that 40. How are most 40s set up? They're set up with access smack dab right down the middle. Now, you have that center access. You get to the back side of that 40, you tell me what safe wind direction there is. There's not such a thing. No matter what the wind direction is, you are going to educate a high degree of deer unless you take odor control to the exact, absolute extreme. Because there is no such thing as a safe wind direction. Now, let's look at that 40 with edge access. You can go ahead and make it so that you can access the entire outer boundary of the 40, playing the wind with your odors always blowing into the neighboring properties, never into yours. Okay, so no matter what the wind direction is, you can access 50% of the edge of your property. So then, what you do is you go ahead and you design the bedding inside. You try to get the deer to bed inside the property, and you try to get them to come more to the edges for feeding. Okay, now let's look at a property, that same 40-acre property with a cabin right smack dab in the middle of the thing. Now, you're not going to go ahead and bulldoze your cabin for deer hunting. It's not going to happen. Please don't do that. Okay, but in that situation, now you've got your cabin right in the middle of that 40. How are you going to handle this? Well, you do the opposite. What you do is you go ahead and you put your food sources, your little kill plots, surrounding that cabin, as close to the cabin as the deer will tolerate, frankly. You know, as the biggest, most reclusive buck in the woods will tolerate. Now, in many cases, it's going to depend on terrain and habitat and such, but in many cases, that's as little as 75, 100 yards away from the cabin. Okay, so now, sure, you disturb the place by going into the cabin, but you know what? You are conditioning the deer that that's okay, too. Okay, then you go ahead and have the wind direction always blowing from your stand back to your cabin. Okay, it's the closest thing you can come up to with a safe wind direction, but really look at access. Access is what ends up boogering far more hunting properties than anything else. You know, the closest second would be sanctuaries. Look at your access, design it so that your odors are blowing either to the neighbors or to your cabin. You do that and you're going to be so much further ahead.
Growing Big is brought to you by Wildlife Research Center, the gold standard. Reconyx, see what you've been missing. Antler King, bigger bucks, healthier deer. The Heater Bodysuit, you stay warm or your money back. Furminator, the best food plot implement on earth. Redneck Blinds, the best hunting blinds on the planet. Chestnut Hill Nursery and Orchards. And foodplotsfordeer.com, planning your habitat improvements and improving your hunting.
Nothing can mess up a small property faster than improper access. If you're going to hunt the backside of that 40 and your only access is through the center of that property, forget it. There's no such thing as a safe wind direction. You hunt that, you're going to go ahead and alert 50% of the deer that you're there, no matter how stealthy you're going to be. Okay. Look at what type of access makes sense for your property. If you can get away with edge access and not go into the center, go ahead and create the center as sanctuary, bedding, all that type of good stuff, and suck them out to the edges. Oftentimes there's farm fields in the area that you're not keeping them out of anyway. Okay. If you happen to be one of the many property owners that has their cabin right smack dab in the center of the property, do the reverse. Put the food closer to the cabin and use that cabin as your dead zone. But really think about access, and you're going to be far farther ahead.